With two conkers safely hidden away, Ilsa kept her word. She took me straight to the guild and signed me in as her personal guest. Laredo Kronk, the upwardly nubile tomb evacuator and the focus of the fantasies of 1,000 post-pubescent adolescents. I had to admit there was something about her. Excuse me, can you help me?
That depends on what you want.
I'm new here. I'm just trying to get a feel for the place.
Are you a member?
Not yet.
What's your name?
Lutein.
Laredo Kronk. Pleased to meet you, I'm sure.
The pleasure is all mine.
Of course it is. So you're a guest, are you?
Is that a bad thing?
Only in so much as 8 out of 10 guests who confessed a preference stole something before disappearing.
I'm not going to steal anything, trust me.
No, I think you're wrong. You are going to steal something, but don't worry about it. Almost everything the Guild of Archaeologists owns is stolen, and frankly, they should expect people to steal from them.
Do you steal from them?
Golly, no! I never steal from any building less than 1,000 years old, and with really exciting puzzles.
So, what do you do for a living?
I'm a tomb evacuator.
And what does that involve?
It's a lot of fun. It means breaking into ancient buildings within which no man or woman has walked for thousands of years, apart from whoever it is who leaves all those medical kits, of course, and working my way through fiendish traps and puzzles, and eventually stealing some priceless treasure.
And do you sell the treasure?
Goodness, no! I'm far too well-bred for that. I bring it here, and have to watch as they slam it into a vault that nobody will look in.
A vault?
Forget I said that. Suffice it to say, the Guild of Archaeologists has a priceless collection of artifacts, but no one gets to see them.
Isn't that a waste?
Well, nobody said archaeology was rewarding.
Why do you do it then?
For the excitement, silly, and the fame. Everyone has heard of Laredo Kronk.
I hadn't.
Well, most people have. I was on the front cover of Archaeologists Monthly twice last year.
I don't read it.
Those long words can be so tiresome, can't they?
So, what does a tomb evacuator do?
Nothing special. I break into places where priceless antiquities have been locked away for centuries, overcome the elaborate and convoluted security systems, defeat my rivals, and make away with the treasure. Typical day's work, really.
So, you must be pretty rich then.
Oh, I've got absolutely pots of money. Anyway, the whole thing with the tombs and so on is just a hobby. And of course, it's great for making friends.
What? Among fiendish tomb-guarding monsters?
No, I kill all those. I meant people are always asking me things like, how do you get to the third ledge in the tomb of Tex-Mex cuisine? What's a walkthrough?
Never heard of it.
People are always asking me for one. I hope it's nothing to do with sex.
My mind just boggled. Sorry. Broken into anywhere interesting, have you?
Well, I knocked over the Grand Temple of Offla several times. Such sillies. Every time they get the Tear of Offla back, I take it. It's getting a bit boring recently. Then there's the Catacombs of Genua and the Temple of Anu Anu at Al-Khali. I don't know, it's all a little routine. I'd like to do something new for a change.
Ever thought about retiring?
I'd love to, but the public seem to want me.
You mentioned vaults.
I told you to forget I mentioned that.
I take it all the treasure that people find is kept in vaults under the guild.
I shouldn't discuss that with you since you're only a guest.
Worried I'm going to steal something?
Worried? No. I'm certain you're going to steal something. I just don't care.
Why not?
I'm very philosophical about this sort of thing. It's like I said. Everything in the guild is stolen. It seems only fitting that someone else should get to steal it back. Assuming they can overcome the traps, of course.
Do you know a troll by the name of Horst?
Jasper Horst. Yes, I know him. Horst and I go way back. And I don't mean that in a good way.
How do you know Horst?
You could say that he and I are rivals. We have this uncanny habit of turning up in the same place at the same time, looking for the same archaic treasure.
You sound bitter.
Well, I always win, of course. But that doesn't mean I don't resent his interference.
Must keep your life interesting, though.
Perhaps. I could stand a little less excitement in my life, though.
Thanks for your time.
No problem.
Mr. Lutein, it is always a pleasure to see you. I trust you have brought something with you that will be to my liking.
I haven't brought you the sword yet, if that's what you mean.
I'm a patient troll, sir, but there are limits to my patience.
A woman named Laredo Kronk is in town. It seems to me that you might know her.
Laredo is here in Ankh-Morpork? Really? I thought that we had dealt with her in the temples of Tezuman. She is full of surprises, that one. Would you do me a favor, sir, as one friend to another?
Perhaps. It depends on the favor.
But of course, your prudence continues to speak well of you. I'd like for you to arrange a meeting with Laredo for me.
It seems as if I'd be doing you a favor. It seems as if I should be getting something in return.
Very well. Arrange this meeting for me, and we can discuss the sword in detail. Do we have an agreement?
Works for me. I'll go give her the news. I can't guarantee she'll turn up, though.
Oh, she'll come. We have much to discuss.
Ankh-Morpork was home to around 300 guilds, most of which festered in the space between Unseen University and the Patrician's Palace like fungus. From the Assassin's Guild to the Beggar's Guild, every one a proud group of individuals basking in their mutual arrogance. I hated them for their smugness. I hated their petty bickering. But most of all, I hated that I wasn't part of one. I headed back the way I came. I couldn't shake the feeling I was being watched. I'm back.
Apparently so.
I've got a message for you from Horst.
Horst is in Ankh-Morpork.
Absolutely. He wants to meet with you to discuss certain matters arising.
Super.
I have to say that it's probably a trap.
Of course it's a trap. That's what makes it interesting. I'll see you later, Lutein.
Best of luck.
You too.
Laredo made her way over to Horst's quarters and didn't look back. I had no idea what the two had to talk about, but I was sure it would lead to a new and exciting adventure, one even more complex and challenging than her last. For the time being at least, Laredo was out of the way. It was only a small bookcase, but it might have something interesting on its shelves. I browsed aimlessly through the bookcase, and I noticed that one of the books was connected to the bookcase by a hinge. I heard a faint click. The next thing I knew, the fireplace was revolving. I won't bore you with the details of the guild's security system. After all, if you've seen one intricate and fatal collection of pits and traps, you've pretty much seen them all. Suffice to say, it took a lot of trial and error, some scorched eyebrows, and more levers than I could count. One of the vaults grabbed my attention more than the others, Vault 51. Whereas most of the vaults were open, this one was sealed behind a large oak door with the words Nil Introitus written on it. I once knew a man who had that tattooed on his buttocks. This wasn't turning out to be one of my better days. I wasn't about to steal the security notice. Up on the wall of Vault 51 was a sign reading, Unseen Securities, Magical Alarums, Wards, and Hexes. I guess a place like this needed the best security around. There was a panel by the oak door with runes on it. I punched away at the runes randomly, but as far as I could tell, nothing happened. I didn't need any. Maybe the ace of octograms, the Inquisitor. The Exquisitor, and the irritating habit of finishing off other people's sentences. Can we talk? Business waking. Hello again, Warb.
Lutein.
You a regular in...
do you know one? You just all...
Don't you like it? Always... Glam.
It's...
Well then you... So you...
I was...
But you're... I thought...
Yeah, I would... Yeah, we... Very
Are they
Oh, hard...
If you're so...
I get...
But the how?
Let that here out. It... At least...
That's...
Ever...
No.
No.
I think this charm bracelet is worth something to you.
Really?
The charms are carved from serendipitous redwood. It's a genuine luck bringer.
Where did you get it? And if it's so lucky, why do you want to give it to me?
It used to belong to Reagan, and I'm not going to give it to you, but I might trade it to you.
Reagan, the dwarf, yeah. I remember seeing him wear it at the tables. Do you think that was why he always won?
I'm no expert, but anything's possible.
You're right. I'm interested. What do you want for it?
What have you got?
I haven't got any money. Actually, I don't think I've got anything of any value to offer at all.
I guess we'll just have to think of something. I have an idea of what you can trade me for the bracelet.
Go on.
You work for Unseen Securities, right?
Yeah?
Well, I need to get into Vault 51 under the Guild of Archaeologists, and you can help me.
No, that's a bad idea. I could get into serious trouble.
Face it, Warb, your life's a mess. You've got nothing to lose. But if this charm bracelet is as good as it seems, it could make a world of difference to you.
Whoa, if they traced a break-in back to me, my life wouldn't be worth living.
In the first place, no one is going to know I broke in. And in the second place, there's no reason they need to trace it back to you. And in the third, your life is already not worth living. What difference is this going to make?
Oh, maybe you're right. All right, I'll do it.
How do I switch off the security system for Vault 51?
I don't know what their watchword is, but all the unseen security systems have a back passage.
What's that?
It's a way to switch them off that only we know about.
What is it?
You'll have to find the rune panel.
What's it look like?
It's a small panel with runes marked on it. You touch the right runes in sequence to switch it off.
What's the sequence for the back passage?
Give me the bracelet first.
Here you are. Now, what's the sequence for the back passage?
Whatever the runes are on the panel, make an X, starting in the top left and finishing in the bottom left. That's the back passage.
A pleasure doing business with you, Warb.
You won't tell anyone about this, will you?
Don't worry. I'm feeling honorable today. Just as Warb had told me, I made an X on the control panel. I just hoped he was telling the truth. Vault 51. I couldn't deny it. It made a big impression on me. Not quite as big an impression as some of the traps on the way would have done, but at least the impression it was making wasn't fatal. I worked my way around the vault towards Exhibit 3712V. The glass cabinet contained urns from Zorta and was labeled 3711 to 3713V. It was one of the most boring things I've ever seen. The fat urn was clearly a very ancient piece of pottery. It looked very boring indeed. The tall urn was probably a priceless antiquity, but I really didn't care. The small urn was as boring as the other two urns. The troll's tooth scored through the cabinet's glass like an accountant through a rich man's wallet. I smashed the tall urn into tiny pieces, and inside was the golden sword. Finally, this was it. The artifact that Carlotta, Horst, and who knows how many other people were looking for. Frankly, it was a bit of an anticlimax. I expected it to at least glow a little, or perhaps sing to itself quietly, or hum with the stolen souls of 1,000 men. But it just felt cold and hard in my hand, like any other sword. Suddenly it came over me that everything would go wrong. It sounds crazy, but it's true, so help me. I couldn't hear my footsteps. It was the walk of a dead man. When I made it out of the guild alive, I thought I was home free. But there was something wrong. I couldn't put my finger on it, but I knew I was in danger. I'm not a suspicious man, but I am a cautious man. I decided then and there to start running, and not look back until my office door was safely locked behind me. But something else had plans for me not to make it that far. I don't know when I first began to suspect that I wasn't dead. I guess it must have been when I realized I was thinking about whether or not I was dead. The anthropomorphic entity with the scythe hadn't turned up, so I figured I was either alive or undead. And it didn't take me long to work out which. I wandered through the streets in a daze, not really knowing what was going on. At first, I couldn't make out any colors. Then gradually the city came alive with vast clouds of pigmentation. Against it all, there was an ever-present mist of bright green, cloying and unpleasant. There was a dissonance about it that I couldn't place, until I realized I was smelling the rank odor of the River Ankh. I was smelling the world in a way I wouldn't have thought possible. Every smell fascinated me. The resonant scents combined into a symphony. Every street was an opera, every lamppost an invitation. I don't know how long I wandered the streets. It's hard to tell which way is up when your world has been turned upside down. I ended up back where I started because I didn't know what else to do. Plus, my coat was in the coffin, and Ankh-Morpork is a bad neighborhood to be caught naked in.